great down here in Tennessee. We don't need y'all to talk about us because we're going to talk about ourselves.
Welcome, all of you out there, to another episode of Titans Tube. My name is Justin. This is Jake, and we got another preview episode. It is week 5. We are rolling into October, Jake. It already feels like it's going fast. It's still early in the season, but we have a week 5 road trip to the Washington Commanders, Jake. This is the game before a bye week. Titans have an opportunity to get above 500 before the bye. And we are 1.5 point favorites in this game, Jake, which scares me. I don't ever want to be favored knowing our Titans. But, this Washington team is reeling with a 3-game losing streak. But thank you for their one win was against the Jaguars. So that helps us out. Thank you, Washington. But this is a currently struggling Washington team, Jake. So you got to think. Don't get your hopes up too high. We know what happened when we went to see the Jets last year in New York. But with this team and in its current state, this got to be an opportunity for the Titans to get a W. What do you think, Jake?
Absolutely. Obviously, the biggest question heading into this one, Justin, is can the Titans play 4 straight quarters of football in a row? And if they do that, they should be able to beat the Commanders handily, just on paper. You said it, that the Washington Commanders reeling. 3 straight losses for them. Carson Wentz turning the ball over at a worse clip than he did last year, which is almost hard to comprehend. He has more picks, or he has 5 interceptions on the year this year, and he threw 7 all of last year for Indy. So he's on pace to really shatter that early in this first lap of the season. But play all 4 quarters, Justin. This Titans team is favored. And, the classic reporters picking, everyone picks the same team. Yeah. It's almost a guarantee that they're going to lose. I've seen that with the Titans this week. You never really like to see that kind of karma coming our way. And another thing you don't like to see, Justin, is the injury report for the Tennessee Titans piling up yet again. It's kind of becoming a habit with this football team over the past couple of years under this Vrabel regime. The injury report as of Thursday, Ola Adaney, Traylon Burks, Cunningham, and Bud Dupree all not practicing this week. Nate Davis and Amani Hooker sat out today's practice. We're filming this on Thursday. Amani Hooker practiced yesterday and then still going through concussion protocol. So if we could get him back in this game, it's still up in the air at this point. But if we could get him back, that would be a huge, huge help to shore up the end of this defense. Because Washington's receivers are dangerous, and they have weapons there. The problem is just getting them the ball. So on the Commanders side of things, rookie wide receiver Jahan Dotson, not expected to play with a hamstring, and tackle Sam Cosmi is also not expected to play for that Commanders offensive line. And then Curtis Samuel hasn't practiced all week with an illness. We'll see. It's kind of like a Josh Jacobs, will he just randomly show up on Sunday and play in this game? We'll have to wait and see. But like I said, this Commanders offense has some serious weapons, Justin.
Yeah, they do. And like you said, it's just a matter of getting them the ball. But the problem with this offense, and I mean, if you look at the scores, they've scored 8 points and then 10 points in their last 2 weeks. So definitely struggling to put points on the board. But really, from what I've kind of gathered, it's really starting with their offensive line, who's definitely struggling. They've been dealing with injuries on the line through the whole season and just really not playing that well in general. You can see it with Wentz maybe throwing picks anyway. He has a tendency to run into sacks anyways, but a lot of that could be on the offensive line. Either way, Wentz leads the league with 17 sacks against him. So after 4 games, that's over 4 sacks per game. So, you look at what the Titans are doing with Big Jeff and Autry, big time game last week, and then Weaver leading our team with 4 sacks. They hopefully can be, they're licking their chops at an opportunity to add to that sack total for them. And then if you look at the ground game, Washington employing Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick, they're not efficient numbers. Both of them under 4 yards per carry on the season. And Gibson has their only 2 rushing touchdowns of the season for their entire team. So turning the ball over through the air, not getting it done on the ground. So yeah, the offense is struggling. The offensive line shuffling them around. So they're looking for some stability there. But if they can, give Wentz time, he's got a couple great talented receivers that can be very dangerous in Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel. So I kind of a break too, as I was looking at the stats for the team. Jahan Dotson is third on their team in receiving yards, but he led them with 4 receiving touchdowns. He led the whole team and as just a rookie. So not going to have that weapon on the field for him. So that could be a big break because our secondary does have some struggles when you get past Christian Fulton, encouraged by McCreary, but he's still a rookie. So he may have some, may have some times when he looks like a rookie, but definitely promising start for McCreary. But then after that, who you got? Caleb Farley. He seems like he's having a hard time getting his feet underneath him, giving up some big plays. He gave up one big play, I know, last week. But by the way, where is Elijah Molden? I keep hearing that we're expecting him to come back, but he's not been designated. Is he on IR? He's not on IR.
Correct. Yes, he is on IR.
He is. Okay. So there will be a news break that, we're designating him to come back and practice, but so he's not going to be back. Maybe they're eyeing him to come back after the bye. What's wrong with him? Is he have a hamstring? Was that what's going on?
I couldn't tell you. At this rate, it feels like there's a hamstring or a knee or a hip with everybody on the team. At this point, we're going to have another 2-page Excel doc of the injury report again.
So when he comes back, that'll help, that'll help the secondary, help us feel better about this secondary group because they do have a tendency to, have a guy running free wide open or just giving up big plays. So we definitely have to be careful in covering McLaurin. I think McLaurin, he's averaging like 17 yards per reception this year. So a big play threat. Can't have any big plays. And Carson Wentz, he's going to heave some balls down the field. Our defense has got to be ready to knock it down or intercept it. It's probably going to be a bad throw, a very underthrown heave.
Yes.
And be careful not to get one of those dumb pass interference penalties too.
Of course.
The defensive back is just waiting for the ball to come down. But anyway, moving on and also McKissick and Gibson himself are pretty good receiving backs coming out of the backfield. So they still have some targets there. Logan Thomas is their tight end. They've got some weapons. It's just a matter of can Carson Wentz get a clean pocket and can the offensive line generate any push for their running game to get any balance? But after shutting down Jonathan Taylor last week, you got to feel good that this run defense is trending in the right direction after Josh Jacobs had a decent game against our defense. So I don't know. Do you want to get into more specifically the Titans defense?
Yeah.
We do have some linebackers that played well last week, filling in for an injured Zach Cunningham. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. There were a lot of guys who were unlikely heroes in that Indianapolis game, especially on the defensive side of the ball. When you look at, the turnovers that were generated, obviously we know Danico Autry is a huge part of this defensive line, and Bud Dupree always seems to be there to scoop up the fumble. That's kind of the tandem duo. But, obviously don't expect Bud Dupree this week. I think he hasn't been practicing. But in that linebacker depth you mentioned, Justin, Joe Schobert, Dylan Cole, these guys playing great for the Titans. And then also Monty Rice was designated to return. If he can get back and get, his feet wet and stay in this lineup, our linebacker depth could cover for those guys while they are out. And then you touched on it in your Washington offense rundown. I'm a little bit nervous about the big playability of Scary Terry and Curtis Samuel. And, I picture those Carson Wentz Colts underthrows. And we saw one last week where a receiver does even come back and he'll catch it, or there'll be a pass interference or some kind of absurdity will happen with the Titans defense. And so it's going to be about executing the same defensive game plan last week, make them one-dimensional, and be opportunistic with turnovers. That 3-0 turnover ratio that the defense was able to come up with last week literally won you the game. So hopefully they can replicate that and be opportunistic, our favorite word with this Titans defense, and forcing turnovers.
Yeah.
On the flip side, the Commanders defense, Justin, there is a ton of talent on this front seven. Darren Payne, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, and Jamin Davis.
I think it's Jamin.
Jamin Davis is a first round pick from last year, and he leads their entire team with 3 sacks on the season. Out at corner, William Jackson and Kendall Fuller is a familiar name out there. And, who's to say how the Titans wide receivers can match up with Burks out, and, Kyle Phillips is getting worked back in. Justin, what should we expect to see from this Titans offense going against a stout Commanders front, but how will we attack them through the air?
It's tough to say what the offensive the air attack is going to look without Burks, but at the same time, Burks wasn't seeing a lot of targets in the first place. Mike Vrabel is always singing his praises about his downfield blocking, so maybe that might show up at some points with not having a strong wide receiver as a blocker there. But as far as attacking through the air, it's going to be tough. God, I would love to see Kyle Phillips in this offense. I watched the Jim Wyatt videos or in Buck Rising or whoever, at practice, taking some reps, doing the feet drills. He looks better in those drills than anybody, including Bobby Trees. Like his footwork is phenomenal. He can cut on a dime. He looks great. Is his shoulder really bothering him that much? I don't know, but I would love to just force him into the game plan. This guy looks like a real slot receiver, could be a potential star as far as a slot wide receiver goes. Like he looks like he has that kind of explosive ability from practice, but we're just talking practice here. So
yeah,
can that translate to a real game? Hopefully it can. Would love to see him, but what I would really like to see from the passing game is continuing to work Chigakonkwo into the lineup and seeing more targets for both him and Austin Hooper. Two tight ends that can catch the ball. And Austin Hooper has shown that throughout his career. And Chig looks like that athletic, pass or receive first tight end instead of block first tight end. I was trying to put that together. Like Jeff Swaim is your typical, block first tight end. But, and we haven't really gone to Jeff Swaim outside of like the first couple weeks. So I kind of like that. Play to your player's strengths. Let's throw Chig out there on some pass routes. But so I would love to see the tight ends get more involved if we're going to be without Burks. Bobby Trees is great. Surely, hopefully we can have some plays for him, scheme him open. But William Jackson and Kendall Fuller, they have a lot of experience. I don't know if either of them have made a Pro Bowl throughout their career, but they're both familiar names. Mm-hmm. So they played a lot of football. So it could be a struggle. It's got to start with giving Tanny time. I have full confidence in Ryan Tannehill if he has time to throw the ball. Really, the only thing with Tannehill is sometimes he can take a bad sack when pressure gets to his face. He could force something, make a bad throw, interception right into a defender's hand. But when you give him time and he sits back there comfortably, he can deliver any throw. I don't think he gets enough credit. People see him as very mid to maybe on the lower tier. He's had some bad moments in the playoffs, but for the most part, gotta love Tanny. There's random Tanny rant and shout out, our starting quarterback for the past 3 years. But
no, I'm with you, Justin. I feel like he gets a huge bad rap, I should say, because of those stinkers and clunkers he's delivered in the playoffs. People thought Derrick Henry carried him in that 2019 AFC title game run, which, any quarterback would have been carried with Derrick Henry rushing for 200 yards a game and 2 touchdowns in all of those playoff matchups. Yeah. But he gets a bad rep because I feel like in primetime he's been good. Obviously this season, the Bills stinker on Monday night, nobody's going to give him any credit for that. But the problems with the Titans offense this season, Justin, have been very far removed from Ryan Tannehill as far as I'm concerned. He is the least of this offense's worries, especially when they have the spotty offensive line play like you mentioned. And another thing about the pass game, Justin, how will we attack without Treylon Burks on the outside? Derrick Henry has been getting more targets in the passing game than we've ever seen. You shouted out Christian McCaffrey last week. Look out, there's a new dual threat on the street, and it's Derrick Henry. He even had a quote this week. He had a bad drop in the Indianapolis game, but he says, it's been really fun. I really like getting involved in the passing game. You just got to catch a damn ball. And that's just kind of how else you're going to put it. So get 22 involved in that passing game, get creative with it, and then obviously get 22 involved in the ground game and get that push early, set the tone against this tough Commanders front seven. And, I'm more concerned, Justin, if we want to get into our game keys and predictions. I think our key is going to be the exact same this week. I would like them to set the tone in the beginning, but I would also like them to set the tone in the second half, Justin. I guess my only key to the game is I would like to see one touchdown scored in the second half. Just one. Just one. And win the turnover battle. Be opportunistic with Carson Wentz back there. Smack the ball out if you do get there on the pass rush. He's liable to give that thing up, and I think this defense knows it. But more importantly, you got to score points in the second half to win football games. You're not going to keep getting away with it at this rate.
Absolutely. That was my key too. At least play all 4 quarters. Of course, the Titans might flip and get shut out in the first half and then go on to score 30 points in the second half. Just 4 quarters, no matter, we need positive efficiency for 60 minutes. I mean, over the course of the football game, no football team is going to do that unless you're the Seahawks versus the Lions a week ago, where they both dropped 45 plus points ridiculously. We can't expect something like that. But and also I was going to mention more specifically for a key. I would just really love to see this come down to Big Jeff, Autry, Weaver, Tier Tart. Big shout out Tier Tart, trending in the right direction. Control this game. Just those guys up front, as long as they do their jobs on a reeling offensive line, who's having struggles with injury. And Carson Wentz, he's Carson Wentz. I mean, I'm sorry, no offense. Hopefully those 4 guys, plus David Long Jr., send him in on a blitz or whoever linebacker is there. Just keep their offense out of rhythm the whole time. If we can shut down their offense, I have great confidence that our offense, maybe we'll get shut out in the second half again. But I'm looking forward to that matchup. I'm looking forward to seeing our defensive line control the line of scrimmage against this Washington team. And I know on paper, you kind of see that and expect that to happen. But I mean, this is the NFL. I think there was a game last year, maybe it was the Texans game that we lost, where I think the Texans O-line was bad and we were expecting, the defense to get after, I think it was Tyrod Taylor in that game. And they struggled. The Texans offensive line, I think, outplayed our defensive line. And I was like, how did that happen? On paper, we should have been dominating. So don't want that to happen in this game, obviously. But on paper, I feel encouraged about the matchups on our defensive line versus their O-line. So that's something I'm going to be paying most attention to. But I just need to see the consistency from the offense. And I love how, what you said about Derrick Henry getting him involved in the pass game. But really, what's going to help the pass game the most is getting the run game established, to soften up the defense where they don't have to stack the box. And we got to throw it to Bobby Trees fighting off a double team. Like we don't need any of that happening. So I guess that's my key. Do you have like a specific score prediction?
I do. Specific score prediction. Say that 3 times fast. I give up. I do think I said it in the recap this week, Justin, and I'm going to say it right here, right now, and I'm going to say it, I'm sure, in the post-game recap of this game. It's going to be a nail biter, Justin. I think there's going to be some unnecessary close points in this game. I think the Titans are going to frustrate us. I think the Titans are going to play down to their competition. However, I do think the Titans will get their 1 second half touchdown this week, and they will win this football game. I'm going to go 30. I'm going to say this Titans offense is going to put up 30 points. Maybe a defensive touchdown thrown in there. Who knows? Yeah. But I will take the Titans to win this football game, Justin, 30-21.
30-21. Interesting. All right. I like it. I like the second half touchdown. That's my favorite part of the prediction. I mean, God, we need 7 total points in the second half throughout the whole season. Unbelievable. We're lucky to be 2-2, Jake.
I know. I know it. You're absolutely right.
For my score prediction, by the way, credit to myself. Got to brag. And I don't think I brought it up in a video yet, but I predicted the Colts-Titans game to be 23-16, I think. Ooh. 1 point off. 1 point off on both teams. That might have been the closest prediction I've ever had. But for this game, you had a 9-point differential. I was actually thinking about a 10-point differential. I'm gonna say Titans 27 to Washington 17, and maybe that second half touchdown comes late. Maybe we're up in a tight 20-17 game, and then someone makes a play, and we salt the game away with a late touchdown in the second half. So
how sweet it would be.
How sweet it would be. I would love to see Derrick Henry breaking his first like real long run, one of those classic 50+ yard Derrick Henry marching to the end zone. Maybe that's how we can salt that game away. But all right, I think that is it for our predictions. Do you have anything else for this game?
I do not have anything else for this game. Justin, are we going to do our 3 games against the spread?
Okay. Do you want to go first? Do you have yours ready?
All right. For my first game against the spread this week, Justin, I have the Seattle Seahawks going to New Orleans and covering that +5.5 spread. How about Geno Smith in this early Seahawks team? Unbelievable. They were pegged to be a top 5 draft pick. And I know they're not, blowing anybody out of the water, but Geno Smith is like playing like a top 10 quarterback so far in this early stretch of the year. So how about that? And, New Orleans, talk about a team who doesn't quite have an identity, especially with Andy Dalton being, probably the starting quarterback, or if Jameis Winston is in there, he's beat up. He is pain all over. That's the Jameis Winston meme quote. So anyways, I have Seattle +5.5 against the Saints. My next one, Justin, is the Pittsburgh Steelers +14 at Buffalo. I like the Steelers +14.
Okay.
Simple explanation. Too many points to give Mike Tomlin. Kenny Pickett will be starting this game. So there's just going to be an energy about the Steelers, I think, this week. And obviously nobody is expecting them to do anything against the Buffalo Bills. And just 14 points, I see that in the NFL. And I like to pick the underdog there. It's a lot of points.
Yeah.
But then my third game, as much as it pains me to say it, because it's still a salty relationship between A.J. Brown and the Philadelphia Eagles and the Titans. It's just, there's a sour breakup air there, but I do like the Philadelphia Eagles -5.5 against the Arizona Cardinals, because Cliff Kingsbury is probably not the answer out there in the desert, and I'm not a big Kyler Murray believer either. So I'm going to go with the Eagles -5.5 to stay perfect in Arizona.
Okay. 5-0 Philadelphia. All right. My pick here, man, I feel so dumb. Hopefully nobody is actually taking these seriously and putting money down, but I was way overconfident about picking the Rams over the 49ers. Oh my gosh, I was making a mockery. But Vegas apparently is smarter than I am when it comes to giving teams favorites. So right now I'm down. I'm down on the Rams. Their offense is out of sorts. What is going on in LA with the Rams? They are 5.5-point home favorites versus the Cowboys. How about Cooper Rush? Talking about kind of quarterbacks, with Geno Smith and now Cooper Rush, these unheralded quarterbacks kind of coming out into the spotlight and playing well for their teams, keeping the Cowboys afloat and relevant and still very much alive at 3-1 in that division, keeping pace with the Eagles. But I'll take the Cowboys here to cover that 5.5-point favoritism for the Rams. So that is my first one. Second one might be a little dumb. Packers seem to be struggling. They struggle.
I like this, Justin.
You like this? Okay. I feel less dumb. Yeah. I mean, they're at home versus the Giants as an 8-point favorite. The Giants, who I expected the Titans to beat up in week 1, and they beat us. But the Giants are 3-1. I think they go into Green Bay and at worst make it a close game, a touchdown or less. But who knows? Aaron Rodgers in that offense, they might just be, slowly working through things with life without Devontae Adams. And maybe they figure things out and blow out the Giants. Oh, but this is in London too. I just remembered that. So this is the London early morning game over here in the States. But I'll take the Giants as my second pick. And then lastly, I'm tempted to pick Falcons Bucks. I mean, I'm just biased for Arthur Smith, but a 9.5-point mark for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has struggled a bit. They're 2-2. Who did they play last week and lost to?
Tampa Bay lost to the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football.
Could not stop a runny nose, but it is the Chiefs offense. But I mean, this is a big divisional matchup. Falcons and Bucks at 2-2. I'll go ahead. I'll just go ahead and just throw my hat in. Give me some Marcus Mariota magic. I know he hasn't played the best. He's struggling here and there, but Arthur Smith's got him right on pace in that division right now. So if they can get this win, holy crap, big time. Bucks might be in big time trouble.
Absolutely.
So sure. I'll take them. I mean, I've already said it. Falcons are kind of my NFC team for this season with Art Smith and Mariota down there. So those are my 3 games, Jake.
I like it. And you said Tampa Bay's in trouble. Speaking of, in the same vein, I think Caleb is also in trouble because the newly single Tom Brady just hit the market. I mean,
yes, that's true.
Shout out to Caleb, but Amy's got her opportunity. It's all out in front of her right now.
I know. They are in definite trouble there. That's funny. I gotta let them know that. Who, by the way, they are back at it. They dropped their second picks video yesterday, so make sure you guys check that out. And you guys have been so kind, by the way, in the comments. Complimentary and loving that, to seeing them back in action on the channel is great to see, and I know they really appreciate that too. So thank you guys for the kind comments and keeping up with what we're doing over here.
Absolutely. Y'all are the best. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Tighten up. Everybody have a great football weekend. Let's go to DC and take care of business against an inferior opponent. Don't play down to competition. And just one touchdown. I don't even care if Randy pulls the extra point wide left. I just want a touchdown. I want second half points. That's all I want to see. And a Titans victory, of course.
And the Titans victory, of course. That's the most important thing. I mean, if it's a nail biter and we pull it out by 1 and we're angry and frustrated, it's okay. Well, because we just want to be 3-2 by the bye week. That is the goal. We'll be basically fully dug out of that 0-2 hole. Get back on track with a winning record. So hopefully we can get that done. We're coming for you, Carson Wentz. So better hold the ball tight. Big Jeff is on his way.
I love it.
That was corny. That was way too corny. I'm sorry. We can
and the perfect ending.
Yeah.
Peace out, everybody.
All right. See y'all.